Welcome to another Unwinding with Fiber and Fabric and Countdown to Christmas 2021. Let's talk about quick and easy clay ornaments. A number of years back, it's once again been at least, I think, a decade ago, we had some friends that had done some clay ornaments. It was trending at the time. A number of the programs I was watching was showing how to use polymer clay. And I decided it might be a fun thing to try with my kids. As it turned out, it was not only a fun thing to try with my own kids, but I ended up having some older kids, some young adults, come over and help make some ornaments that year. It turned out to be one of my favorite Christmas memories. Sitting around a card table with some young 20-somethings and my teens, and watching them make ornaments and seeing how they reacted to the process of making, but also seeing what each other could make. It's always quite an interesting experience to set a number of younger people or even older people around a table, give them the same materials, and see what they create. It can be surprising to the younger people to see which ones of them have a natural ability, which ones have done it before, and which ones find that it's really something they struggle at and that they would have to actually learn a skill. My memory of that day sitting there making clay ornaments is just filled with joy because I saw it as an equalizer. The young people who felt very, very confident in their social interactions and their public presence found themselves in a back seat to the quieter individuals who turned out to have some really amazing ability with a simple thing like polymer clay. So it is something I recommend. And I'll pull out some of the ornaments that we made that time. I recommend it as a fun project. I noticed that there was some frustration at times because the artistic members of the family found that it was harder to work with clay than with other art materials that they had done before. It doesn't always turn out how you want it the first time. What you see in your head doesn't always become the clay object. But if you have a positive attitude, you create an atmosphere of joy. You learn to laugh at the experience, enjoy the moment, and not get hung up on whether it's perfect or not. Remove the competition from the day. It's amazing how much fun playing with simple clay can be. Now, the first thing I want to show is it's actually not a polymer clay ornament, and I'm sorry if this the bowl makes a lot of noise. I hadn't thought about that when I chose to put all these in a wooden bowl. But this is not a polymer clay ornament. Let me see if I can get him right. Turn him that way, in front of the camera. He's actually made out of foamy clay that is designed for little kids, and he air dries. It's not the air dry clay that artists can use to sculpt that you then paint over. It's designed and sold as foamy clay for little kids. And he's our little pickle or our little cucumber for those of you who may have seen some children's videos and a specific little cucumber. And he's simple. He was simple to mold. He was simple to put together. We put a little wire into the top of him before he dried, so a hook can go in. And it was very simple. And for little kids, this is really wonderful. I couldn't find right off the bat earlier clay ornaments, but I know when I was growing up, we used salt clay. My mom used to make every year at Christmas salt clay, and we would make stars and simple shapes, usually using cookie cutters or just shaping with our hands out of a salt clay. And I know you can find all sorts of homemade clay recipes that can be used. This was a nice in-between. The salt clay before you go into the polymer clays. Soft, easy, air dry, and can be fun. But after having played with that, having found that, and then like, okay, this isn't the polymer clay that some of my friends had. I had a young friend who really got into polymer clay for a while, and so I was very intrigued. And so one of the things I started out doing with the polymer clay is making some fun buttons for a coat that I made for my daughter when she was little. But polymer clay, as those who have used it know, it needs to be baked, but it's pliable, and you have to, they've now, after my initial work with polymer clay, I found that you could find some polymer clay that was made to be softer, and you didn't have to work it as hard to get it soft. And that's what I'm kind of moved to. But our initial polymer clay, this is one, my son will be horrified that I'm sharing this. And it's wonderful. It has his initials on the back, and it says that we did this in 2006. So it's not been quite 10 years. But I love the imperfection, the perfect imperfection of his little Santa elf. Shows the back. We always tried to put the kids' names on the ornaments, their initials, I should say, and the year when we'd purchase them, so we'd keep track of some of the ones and what years they were done. But I love him. I think he's whimsical. I love putting him on my tree, and he is perfect in his imperfections. And this one turns out my husband has always tried to say that he's not very artistic, and yet he makes wonderful items with wood, like the little wood airplane that I shared. And during the polymer clay, he made the sweetest little teddy bear. So he says that he's not very artistic, but when it comes to working with his hands like this, I think he does a fine job. And so he's just a little teddy bear. In this case, what we used is we put, these are little, not a C-hook, little, I can't remember what they're, but they're little eye hooks. That's what they're called. We put a little eye hook in him so that we could hang. And we put the eye hook in him before we put him in the oven to bake him. So there's him. And another one that my husband did, I didn't bring any that my daughter did, because the ones that she did, they have, they make us smile every year, but she's not very happy with the silliness that goes along with those. She did some really sweet work. I didn't put one on the tree. She has this one that she made that is a tiny, itty-bitty little rose, and it's fabulous. I don't think it would show up on this video very well, so I didn't bring that. My daughter really liked working in tiny scale with a lot of the stuff she did when she was younger. And so with the rose, she actually made some, attached it to some wire. So it's really delicate and it's really sweet. But back to what my husband made. He made a fish, because why not? A little rainbow trout. And it's adorable. It is fun to put on the tree, and it was a fun day. So one of the things I did, though, that I wanted to share is I made this little ho 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 hanging sign. And in this case, you'll see it has some shine on it. I ended up putting a coat of Mod Podge type, Mod Podge on it. The one thing with this one, for some reason, because I don't have this issue with some of the other stuff, but this one, when it goes in the wrapping from Christmas to Christmas, for some reason it gets a little tacky, and it attaches itself to the tissue paper that we wrap it in. So I'm not sure why I haven't had problems like this with my other polymer clay that I've put Mod Podge on, but it is something I wanted to mention. So yes, a little simple hanging sign with polymer clay. But the final one I wanted to do, I did this, I did this 2 years afterwards. We've been collecting, as I said, ornaments, since my husband and I met, since I was in college. I've been collecting ornaments, and people have collected ornaments for us. And one of the things is, baby's first ornament. Well, when we started going through, I guess it was, so about 2008, I started noticing that I had a fabulous little frame that I'd been given for my daughter. But I didn't have anything that was a framed picture for my son. So I thought, let's get out some polymer clay and make a framed ornament. And that is my little framed ornament that the picture slides down in. It's my son and my husband. And it was 1998 when that picture was taken. But I made... Oh, I'm looking at the back. I did make this in 2006, so I didn't wait a couple years. I did that when we were doing the polymer clay that year. And so polymer clay ornaments can be a wonderfully sweet, a wonderfully imperfect, but cherished way to have a little family fun at the holidays. And whether it is in its very rough state, whether it's a tiny bit more refined, or very simple, it is a fun family time project. It's a fun having friends over project. It's amazing what happens when you take a bunch of adults, semi-adults, or children, or all at the same time, put them together and give them the chance to play with clay, just like they probably did when they were little, and then have it become an ornament, a memento for them through the upcoming years of their life. So that's my unwinding with fiber and fabric, although I'm not sure there's any fiber involved in this one. It is a fun way to unwind. It's a fun way to do some crafts. And most, as I said, importantly, it is a wonderful way to spend time with our family and friends during the holiday season. It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to go all out. You can have, if you want, you can make up a bunch of cookies. You can have everybody bring cookies. You can go to the store and get, ready-made cookies. You can have pizza delivered. Oh, that would be fabulous. Polymer clay and pizza night. That would be a fun get-together. You can keep it simple. And during the holidays, we run around, we go a little crazy, we're always rushing and taking a few moments to do something family-oriented, family time, friends time, a little bit of just unwinding, sharing in each other's company, sharing memories, maybe playing some Christmas charades afterwards, but having that time just to enjoy each other's company without the stress. That is unwinding during the Christmas season. That is finding the joy. So, here is this little video with my polymer clay and other clay ornaments, and I wish you happiness and joy, and we will see you tomorrow.